It's 8:30. Good morning. I'm Ian Crouch with Hunter News. Newcastle's promised cruise ship terminal has hit a major financial snag. The state government announced just under $13 million for construction of the terminal in September 2016. However, the Herald reports a rise in building costs and extra geotechnical expenses means the terminal cost has blown out by as much as $4 million. It's left the project in limbo, with the state government unwilling to commit extra funding. Design changes to the terminal, including removing the iconic proposed curved roof, may have to be made so the project can be built within the original budget. Police hold concerns for the welfare of a missing Nelson Bay man. The family of 26-year-old Shannon Blackie haven't heard from him for 3 weeks. Senior Constable Kathy Panetta says detectives are appealing for help from the public to locate him.
Shannon is described as being of Caucasian appearance, about 170 centimetres tall, of thin build with brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information on his whereabouts or that sight Shannon is urged to contact Crime Stoppers immediately.
A Newcastle Knights corporate sales executive is behind bars accused of defrauding the club of more than $150,000. It's alleged Matthew Ninnis sold corporate boxes and season launch tickets to non-existent businesses in a bid to reach sales targets. The 36-year-old was employed by the Knights in November last year. New planning reports released by the state government are sparking hope for the 2 more trains for Singleton Group. Faster links between Sydney and Newcastle, as well as improvements to the Lower Hunter Freight Corridor, are mentioned as part of the 2018 infrastructure plan. Martin Faulding from the group says the proposals are a long-term solution, but the short-term solution needs to be addressed.
Some of the proposals would benefit the town, but only if they happen and only in 20 years' time. And the group is concerned that something can be done much more quickly than that. The Transport 2056 strategy that has been put forward recognises there is a need for some long-term thinking about transport in the Hunter.
In the meantime, the group is calling on Transport Minister Andrew Constance to conduct feasibility studies into the Hunter Link Rail proposal, which would see a passenger and freight passage between Glendale to Maitland via Kurri Kurri. Police have made another arrest after cash registers and safes were stolen from several Newcastle and Lake Macquarie businesses last month. Detectives swooped on a home in Road Street, Blackwell's Park last Saturday, arresting a 34-year-old man. 2 other men are already before the courts. It's alleged the trio broke into 6 businesses at Edgeworth, Warners Bay, Mount Hutton, Adamstown and New Lambton. In a bid to stamp out party houses and noise complaints, the state government has announced reforms for short-term rental platforms like Airbnb and Home Away, which operate in the Hunter. Strata groups will have the option of voting against the money-making practice in their block, while local councils such as Port Stephens or Newcastle will be allowed to limit the number of nights a property may be rented out. There's concerns the anomaly between Greater Sydney and the rest of the state will put the Hunter's tourism industry at risk by cutting down the number of properties for guests to stay at. Home Away Director of Corporate Affairs H.M. Curry says the decision will affect many Hunter homeowners who choose to host paying guests.
We've got hundreds of properties in the region, and it's of course changing all the time because we've got new people coming on board and other people who are letting out their homes decide that they want to be able to spend more time there, so they take it off the market. It varies all the time, but it's certainly hundreds.
Sport for our sponsor PRD Nationwide East Maitland.
Despite a dozen players making their debut in Origin overnight, Knights fullback Kalen Pong will have to wait to play his first game for Queensland. The 19-year-old was overlooked for the vacant spot left by the injured Billy Slater after being called in as a late inclusion. The Maroons went on to lose the match 22-12 with former Knight Dane Gagai crossing for Queensland. Meanwhile, Knights centre Sione Matautia says he must find more consistency in his game before re-signing with the club. The 21-year-old former captain is hoping to finalise a new deal with some strong performances in the coming rounds. Contract negotiations were originally put on hold with Matautia after he suffered a bout of severe concussion last season. And reigning Anderson medalist Carl Manu is on track to claim back-to-back honours with 2 different clubs. Manu left the Waratahs after they withdrew from Premier Rugby at the beginning of the season, linking with Maitland. He currently sits 2 points clear on top of the leaderboard with Merewether's Jerome Wilson next best. That's sport. I'm Josh Sim.
And the winning numbers in Wednesday Lotto are 35, 21, 19, 8, 36 and 37, and the supplementaries are 2 and 15. 2NURFM News Time, 25 to 9.